After over 30 years, The Naked Gun is back. But is it shooting blanks? Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Let me know what's your excitement level for The Naked Gun. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And give me that point of reference. Are you someone that has been watching the original set of films your entire life, like me? Are you someone brand new to the franchise, but you're a Seth MacFarlane fan, or a Liam Neeson fan? Give me all of that point of reference. As for me, the Naked Gun movies are some of the first comedies I remember watching way back in the day, where I was like, well, I can't believe my mom's letting me watch this. Like, I saw Naked Gun 2.5 in the theater when it came out and was like, wow, my mom's being pretty etchy with this one. And as they started to remake everything over the last 15 years, this is like many things I was like, it's not a good idea to remake that. Unless, what if they were able to get Liam Neeson to star in it? His deadpan comedy.
You notice this list? I'm always making lists. That's probably why Steven Spielberg cast me as Oscar Schindler. I've been led to understand that tricks are exclusively for children. You do understand that I myself am not a child.
I was able to sniff that out.
He's really funny doing this dead serious, incredibly stupid comedy because of his post-Taken persona and his intensity. It's really funny, and you bring that to The Naked Gun, it can have that same deadpan humor, but not try and mimic what Leslie Nielsen did before. And so when they announced that he was going to be starring in it, I was very excited. And Seth MacFarlane was going to be the producer on it, one of the guys that still does real comedy. I was like, this thing might actually work. They got the director of Rescue Rangers from a few years back, which at face value would think like a Disney comedy wouldn't immediately translate to this. But if you've seen it, it's a police investigation, it's a comedy, and it's really clever. It was like all the pieces came together. Did the movie itself live up to that hype I just gave it? Let's get started with the good. And simply put, it's possible that this is the most that I have laughed in a theater in all of my time going to press screenings. From the very beginning to the very end post-credit scene, my theater was laughing out loud. So much so that I was constantly missing jokes because the movie fires laugh out loud jokes at such a quick pace that you'll still be laughing at one joke by the time they drop the next laugh out loud joke. It's not laugh a minute. It is laugh every 5 seconds. It is that pace of comedy and that high of a percentage of the bits land in the film. And like, I don't mean to oversell it, but that was my experience in the theater. That was the most laughter I can recall ever experiencing at a press screening. These are film critics. If you want to call us stuffy and old-fashioned and have no sense of humor, which many people have called me over the last week because I did not like Happy Gilmore 2, and they accused me of just being a critic with no sense of humor. Well, the problem wasn't me. I laughed a whole lot at this movie right here, and so did every other person in my theater. And trying to unpack the film a little bit, at the end of the day, a comedy is supposed to make you laugh. That's what this movie did. Therefore, it succeeded at its ultimate goal. This isn't a movie that has a bunch of other objectives. It's not trying to comment on the human condition or anything like that. There's a few topical or edgy jokes or whatever, but the movie's goal is very simple. Make people laugh. And that's what this movie does. And therefore, this movie succeeds, and I highly recommend it. It's kind of as simple as that. But if you kind of break down like what's kind of going on with the comedy, is that, like I said, it is very true to the nature of the original films, where it's kind of absurdist. It's kind of satirizing cop movies and tough guy persona. So this is the perfect guy to do that, given what he's been doing for nearly the last 20 years. There's a lot of wordplay, all the stuff that was true of the original set of films it continues that. It's not doing a new type of comedy. It's that same type of comedy, but with its own flavor to it, its own kind of version of that same style of comedy. So it's not just rehashing the same jokes. It's continuing, it's building off what was done so well in the past and what has made some of us laugh for over 30 years now. And so, as I mentioned before, Liam Neeson is not Leslie Nielsen. They're both LN names, but they're very different in their comedic timing and chops and the way that it plays out. And there's, an oafish kind of silliness to Leslie Nielsen that in his deadpan comedy. And there's like that taken intensity in Liam Neeson's. And so it plays differently. They're funny in a different way, but it's the same deadpan type of humor. Likewise, there's just a bit of that Seth MacFarlane flavor to the comedy brought into it, of just his kind of version of things, of like his sensibilities, not in a way trying to change it, but kind of bringing that to the Naked Gun family and flavor of everything. But just a lot of the typical visual gags, the misunderstandings, all of the different stuff, but brought into a new time. And even some of that is modern technology, the tropes of spy movies and action movies of the last 20 years, it sends them up. And there's all these little bits of things that you see constantly in action and spy movies, and that's the target. True to the franchise, there's the love montage, and this, I think, might have been the section that had the most laugh out loud, just continual laughter section was during the love montage, because it turns into like its own little subplot that shifts genres, and it goes so bizarre that you're like, okay, I see what we're doing here. Oh, that's what we're doing. Wait, that's what we're doing. It just kind of keeps on building on top of the absurdity of what it's doing, only to go back to our main plot line. But just in true to the franchise, but like I said, with that kind of Seth MacFarlane flavor to the entire thing. Pokes fun at all of these kind of little legacy connections to things, and everybody has to be someone's son. It does that in all these places where it makes absolutely no sense, and that's the joke, is that, of course, the idea that he is Leslie Nielsen's son makes absolutely no sense. Like, Leslie Nielsen's son in the franchise was born in 1994. When this guy right here was 42 years old. And so it's just having fun with all of the ridiculous tropes of legacy sequels, modern day action, all of that stuff. There's a handful of cameos in here, but they're like the right cameos that make sense, and they're always done as a joke. They're paying something off. There is a like random cameo in the third act, like really late into the film. And it's so funny because it just comes out of nowhere. Like, the randomness is kind of the joke, but then it's like that's the setup for the first part of it, and then it's paid off with a second one, paid off by a third one, and then they call back to it, later on in the movie. So it's like a cameo. That's the cameo itself is like, what just happened? That's funny. Followed by punchlines that are clever afterwards that keep playing off of it. And like Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson just have great on-screen chemistry. They play off each other really nicely. And it's like one of those things that, like, I don't know that I've seen Pamela Anderson in anything since like the 90s. And so her coming back to be in something like this that is kind of this throwback sequel, it's just kind of like fun. It's just like a strange sense of nostalgia for like a different time period. And they find all of these clever things to do. There's all these lines in it that are just so stupid, but so quotable and so clever at the same time. It's like really smart, dumb comedy. I don't want to like say it here because I don't want to spoil the jokes, but it's like, what a great line. What a bizarre, gross, hilarious way to joke about how pretty Pamela Anderson is. You have Danny Houston in here as our main villain. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him in a comedy before. He's always just playing these intense villains, which, once again, like, the movie just plays into people's reputations. And all of them just go for it. They're totally willing to make a fool of themselves with the absurd situation that they're in, and it pays off. It fires so many jokes, and such a high percentage of them land. This, like I said before, might be the most I have laughed in a theater in all of the time I've been a film critic. Highly recommend it. Few more things to talk about. Let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. These aren't good or bad things. They're just the questions that people consistently ask with movies like this. Big question a bunch of people have already asked me: do you need to watch the previous Naked Gun movies in order to understand the new one? No, you do not. There's a few Easter eggs here and there. There's a cameo here and there. There's a reference here and there, but it's only minor things. You're not missing anything if you haven't seen the previous films. And just in general, this isn't a franchise like built on continuity, though I do recommend them. Second question people always ask, is there a mid or post-credit scene with the Naked Gun? Yes, and more. It's got a little bit of all of it, where there's a scene that plays at the beginning of the credits that follows up some stuff earlier on. Then it plays kind of a bit that is from the original Naked Gun movie, so kind of reminding you of the old Naked Gun movies. Once that finishes, there's one more thing you need to stay for. It's not a scene, but you need to stay for the section that runs through part of the credits. It is a reference back to a joke earlier in the movie that's really funny, in particular in light of who's doing it. If you're familiar with the Naked Gun movies, one of the things they've always done is that they have joke credits. So it's not just that you need to stay for the credits, you need to watch the credits because they keep throwing in jokes into the credits themselves. And then at the end of the credits, there is a post-credit scene. It is worth sticking around for. In particular, if you're a longtime fan of the franchise, it's a must-watch, but it also is paying off something set up earlier in the franchise. There's like any number of people that will absolutely love this post-credit gag that they do at the very end. But like I said, all throughout the credits, there's stuff happening that is funny and entertaining. From there, let's move on to the bad. Honestly, there's not much to say here. There's no big, gigantic issues or anything like that with the film. These are true minor things worth mentioning. One significant criticism, but extraordinarily nitpicky of a significant criticism. And the big thing that really bothered me, there's one cameo in the film that is a must-have cameo. Totally understand why they did this cameo, but they did it in such a random way and at a random moment in the movie that I wasn't certain if they were doing what they were doing. I had to check the credits, and I talked to the person I went with. He said the same thing. I had to double check, why did they do that like that? It's a cameo with too much significance to just kind of be a quick cutaway without any context. It's very strange. And the other thing is that there are a few comedic lulls in the moment. And perhaps it's simply because there's so many sections that hit so hard and have such a high percentage of the jokes landing that when do you get to a section where maybe a couple jokes miss or it gets a little more plot and action heavy that you just notice the difference a little bit. But there's a few lulls a little bit. It didn't keep up the pace 100% throughout the entire movie, but I don't know what movie does. And kind of stating the obvious here, but you're going to this movie to laugh. You're not really invested in the story. It's not really trying to be this movie that has a big, gigantic heart or big character arcs. That's not what this movie is. It is a movie that has the singular purpose of making you laugh. So if that's what if you're just going for that, this movie absolutely delivers that experience. So for me, I've repeated it many times throughout this video, but this is the most I have laughed in a theater in a very long time, maybe the most I've ever laughed in a theater at a press screening. I am someone that usually is very negative towards these long delayed sequels where they bring something back. Was this past weekend roasted Happy Gilmore 2. This is how you do it right. Overall, it's an A- on the entertainment scale, a 9 out of 10, and this is a must-see comedy. Only thing holding it back from an A or a little bit higher score is that it really hits on one level incredibly well, and that's all it aims for. And for those higher scores, I like to have movies that kind of have a couple other layers to them. That's not what this movie is. This is just an absolutely hilarious film. If you want to laugh, go see this movie.